Many people think they know Montana's trout game until they fish the rivers that no one talks about. The ones without crowds, without shuttle lines, without the midsummer hoot owl closures that hammer the rest of the state. Just cold water sliding off 13,000-foot peaks, unpressured fish sipping in and out of Freestones, and spring creeks that stay clear even when Yellowstone turns to chocolate. This is the Wet Fly Swing Podcast, where I show you the best places to travel to for fly fishing, how to find the best resources and tools to prepare for that big trip, and what you can do to give back to the fish species we all love. Lincoln Powers from Montana Fly Fishing Lodge is here to break down what makes their operation so unique out there. We're going to find out why this pocket of Montana still fishes like the old days during the river runs through it. We get into a little bit of that story. How browns, rainbows, and Yellowstone cutties move through these tributaries all season. The wild productivity of their spring creeks from ice off through the fall, and what a full lodge day looks like, from casting clinics to 4-course dinners to music on the lawn, live music as well. It's all here today, so let's get into it. Here he is, Lincoln Powers. You can find him at montanaflyfishinglodge.com. How you doing, Lincoln?
Great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. I've been really excited about this one. Because you fish some waters that I've been thinking about for many years. I've fished Montana a lot, but I've never been out to what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to get into your program. You guys have this amazing lodge, which is, I know it's, we're talking about the Orvis Endorse. I know you're part of the Orvis. We love Orvis in that whole network thing. So we're really going to do a whole full scoop on the lodge program, because we're going to prepare. Hopefully, I think the plan is I'll be out there, hopefully fishing with you guys. So, but let's take it back first to your fishing. How did you get into fly fishing, the lodge? Maybe take us back to square one. You've been doing this a while, or are you kind of new to it?
Well, relatively, I'm new to it. I'm not new to fly fishing. I've been fly fishing since I was a high schooler anyway. But the property has been in our family since the 1940s, and really no livable structure on it. There was an old building. And my first birthday, I had get pictures of my birthday in the kitchen of that old place, but it didn't have any power or running water. And so I think it was that summer of, 64 or whatever, that or 65 would have been. We moved into the little community of Absorki. My dad chased cows for a living. And so he took me out there all the time. He would go out every day and, take care of business that way. And I'd always go with him as a little kid, but there was no livable structure. And, as I got older, in 96, I had moved away. I went to the military. I worked at Microsoft for a little while and moved back and to start my own business in Montana and raise my kids in Montana is what my original impetus of moving. I was out on the West Coast then, but moved back to Absorki, started my own software development business, and built the lodge as our main family residence back then. And as between my wife and I, we launched 7 kids, and each have their own 30-year career, mine in software development and her in healthcare leadership. And so it was here along come 2018, and Judy challenged me to consider myself partly retired. Little did I know the level of effort it would be to manage and run a lodge to feed my passion here a little bit, but just been a beautiful experience. So Judy and I, we both did, we started using the lodge in the, early teens of 2000 as a destination wedding venue, and cut our teeth on hospitality and cooking for larger groups and that type of thing. And Judy and I are both foodies, and so it was something that really came natural to us and something that we loved a lot. And it's starting. Judy's challenge was consider yourself partly retired in 2018, and so I did that, and started toying with the idea of marketing to fly fishing guests, and it kind of just took on a life of its own.
Just go with it.
Yeah. And, our max client capacity is 18, and that's if we have 2, clients in each accommodation. And so a small group like that, if you can imagine 7 kids, it's not linear. The amount of people cooking for 18 is no different than it was, cooking for the kids and stuff. And so we just amp up the level of quality of service and the quality of food, and we carry that through to our very experienced and affable guides on the water and stuff. So it's been a great experience. I can't say enough about it. How it's fulfilling for us, and uh, based on our feedback from clients, fulfilling for them too. So
Right. That sounds great. And maybe describe kind of where this is located, the rivers you fish. Describe that a little bit.
I often think of that. Um, how when I was a kid, when we wanted to go fishing, it was, you always just went fishing. I'd never really occurred to me to hire a guide and stuff to take you fishing. And, thinking back on it, I mean, people that are traveling to go fishing into unfamiliar waters and stuff, that's the only way to do it, to have a really good time and to get to and know where the good fishing is in the area. Now, in our area of Montana, having, been in software development for decades, I recognize that our area of Montana, there's a bunch of blue ribbon trout streams all within really a few minutes. For whatever reason, kind of stayed out of the fray that is, fly fishing in Montana nowadays, like you see in Southwest Montana and the Madison Big Hole, all those, and then over in the further east of us, another hour and a half or so, the Bighorn, and all of our rivers are quiet. I mean, just to get to have more than a couple of boats on the water during the same day as you're on the water, it more than likely will end up having to be a weekend day. And those are likely to be locals out fishing for the weekend or whatever, not necessarily commercial guides. But they're, at points during the summer, you might see 3 or 4 other people, fishing, boats fishing near you, but nothing like the pandemonium that you see elsewhere in Montana.
So what do you attribute that to? Because I mean, all over Montana, it's amazing to hear that.
It really is amazing. I mean, the Madison it's a tailwater twice over. So the Horn is a tailwater. And so people, I think, are drawn to the tailwaters more so than fishing Freestones or maybe some of the spring creeks. And I think that might be it now, but that kind of flies in the face. I don't know, 8 to 10 years or whatever, where you get warmer water in the summertime on the Southwest Montana. So, I mean, the mountains that rise up above us here is the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness, and it's the highest mountains in Montana state. So they're just under 13,000 feet. And in the southwest corner, there's, the highest peaks in there are 8,500 or 9,000. So get colder water that runs off the east slopes of the Absaroka Beartooth, so we don't get hoot owl hours and stuff. So, I mean, I think in 21 or thereabouts, they kind of owled all of the Yellowstone just because, but all the streams, the Boulder, the Stillwater, all the Walkway Stream, East and West Rosebud, Rock Creek, and all the various, private ranch spring creeks that we have access to, they all run cold, a warm day might approach upper 60s degrees, on occasion, but it's not enough to provoke Fish, Wildlife, and Parks and hoot owl.
That's amazing. And what is the closest town to where you're located?
We are located right along a little 2-lane state highway 78, just south about 5 miles of Absaroka. Yeah. So, and you get off the interstate at Columbus. Columbus is right on I-90, and it's about 20 minutes up country to where the lodge is.
Yeah, I see. You're working your way down towards those high peaks, the mountains down south of you.
Exactly. Yep. So, and we do, airport shuttle and stuff from Billings is the closest. It's about 60 minutes door to door, airport shuttle, but yeah.
So people be flying into Billings, taking the shuttle and then heading down through Columbus, then south.
Yeah, and we often see people that are going to dovetail in, something else in Montana. We're just off the northeast corner of Yellowstone Park, the entrance there. And so you get traveling, either before your fly fishing out, trip or after people off, a lot of people go through the park if they haven't been there. And from where we're at, the entrance to the park, you go over an area called Beartooth Pass. And I might be revealing my age here a little bit, but the old national newscaster Charles Kuralt dubbed the Beartooth Pass the most scenic drive in the lower 48 states. So it's something to see if you've never seen it before, particularly if you haven't been in high mountain passes and that type of stuff. So
yeah, so you guys obviously are in this wonderland. I mean, you're in this place that's amazing.
Oh, it's all stayed out of the fray. I just don't have any idea. It's hard to understand why. I mean, we really are the only fly fishing lodge in quotes between Livingston and Fort Smith, where the Bighorn is. So yeah.
And you guys also have these spring creeks. So when people are coming there, what do you think? Talk about what it would be like if somebody was going to be there for a few days. Is there a mix of streams that you're fishing? Describe that a little bit.
I recommend the variety. So, I mean, if you like, the Stillwater is a mid-sized river we take a fly fishing frame outfitted raft on. The Boulder is the same way. It's a sister river of the Stillwater. It gets pretty skinny as you get into August, so you got to, float it earlier in the season, and then it, really changes over to more of a walkway stream, the Boulder. We take people to our close tailwater, if you will, on the Shoshone down at Cody, which is about an hour and 15. That's about that's about the farthest drive that we do any type of regularity to. It's about an hour and a half into Paradise Valley, south of Livingston, if you want to float the upper Yellowstone. But in between, it's tough to drive that far because you're passing sections of this Yellowstone that are fish great, and you're passing in the Deer Creek Mountains. We've got exclusive private access to 6 miles and a 2-mile stretch of, kind of private ranch spring creeks. So it's not technical like the spring creek south of Livingston.
Oh, so you're saying these spring creeks are easier to catch fish in than other areas?
Food in the water, baby. You can throw a hopper in there in April and October, and it's super fun. Those little streams run crystal clear into the Yellowstone, even in June when the Yellowstone's a mud torrent. You get those clear streams running in there. You can stand down by those confluences and watch them coming into into the clear water.
Amazing. And what are the species that you guys are fishing for here?
By far and away, the bulk is browns and rainbows. And we get, I'm just gonna off the cuff say 40% browns and 35% rainbows. And then, you get a small percentage of Yellowstone cutthroat, a small percentage of brook trout. And then, at times you can catch a bunch of a mountain whitefish is another trout species that's in those waters. So they're they're the only trout native to that besides Yellowstone cuts.
That is. Okay. So you have all these species, and then
Our fish biologists go.
right. Are you on the spring creeks? Are you guys fishing those a lot different than you're fishing, say, or maybe describe that? Which ones are the spring creeks? Are these trips to the Stillwater, to the Boulder?
No, they are a specific kind of destination. We have actually another kind of lodge that's located on the banks of. It's Upper Deer Creek is the name of the stream, but it's takes you about 45 minutes to drive over there and into where we have the lodge on that stretch of water. And there's 6 miles, and really about 1.5 miles is a full day walk wade trip. But it's really, though that thing is 8 to 20 feet wide. The tail outs are 6 to 10 inches deep. The holes are 4 feet. It's just a beautiful gin clear running little stream in the mountains, and it fishes great. I mean, you're if you got your roll cast dialed, you're going to be on them all day long.
You are. And what are you guys doing as far as techniques out here? Is this a mix of dry and nymphing, a little of everything?
In the Spring Creek, you can try whatever you want. A few of them, I mean, if you want dries and you're fishing top water, you're going to get action. But and even on the smaller Freestone streams, East Rosebud, West Rosebud, and Rock Creek, if you have any flavor of a nymphing action going, if you're good at dragging her downstream like the Euro style, you'll catch lots and lots of fish. So that can be really fun. But you have some people that only want to dry fly fish.
Yeah, only want to dry fly. Yeah, I can imagine that because you go to a place, you're in Montana, I mean, who doesn't want to catch a fish on the surface, seeing it come up, right?
And on some of the bigger waters, Stillwater, Boulder, Yellowstone, if you come onto a pod of bobbing heads, you're definitely go top water. Try whatever you want that ways versus maybe you might be doing a dry dropper or something like that. But and if you're game to do some streamer fishing, it's
that's the other thing. So you got streamer fishing too.
Oh boy, yeah, the streamer fishing can be just fantastic, and that's the season for that is basically the whole season.
Is it really? So you could start right in the spring all the way through the fall into the summer or summer to fall.
Yeah, even when the water is hot or it gets warmer in the, we consider upper 60s pretty hot, but still it's the trout are, if you treat them right, they don't do badly. But in some of the deeper water, like in the Yellowstone, you put a streamer down in the bottom when the water's a little warmer. That's where they're holding out is behind the boulders in the bottom.
Gotcha. Wow. And now, are you? Do you have a past? Have you guided, or are you just mostly run the lodge?
I am a guide, and I have guided, but I'm mainly walk wade streams. I feel like I can add value to people best, having not really guided people in a raft or drift boat before. My whole life it's been beating the water, walking wading streams, and so I feel like that's where my sweet spot is, and it's kind of what I really like to do. So it's fish the small waters, walk wading, but yeah.
Okay, but you have guides that are going to take you out in boats and everything.
Oh yeah, and then that's when we got into this little stint here, we were talking about variety, and that's where if you're mobile and you're fit, I highly recommend at least one day walk wade in these little streams. I mean, your own nymphing, if you don't, if you're not familiar with it, we'll give you a 3-weight rod, 10-footer, and so your touch can be, can be a little more sensitive. And you may have never fished that. You may have never fished something smaller than a 5-weight or something.
No, I mean, I've casted some stuff, but I really haven't gone like full trip on the little stuff, which is cool.
Yeah. So you can, it takes some feel for sure. It's like being able to keep fish on the line. It does take some practice, but we can get you on fish in Euro style, definitely. Walk in those small streams and stuff. So, but you got to be fit. You got to, your mobility has to be there for it to be an enjoyable day.
Yeah, you got to work a little bit.
And for people that aren't really, feeling like they're fit enough to do a walkway 1.5 miles or whatever, I would highly recommend, the Stillwater or Boulder, and just have the guide pull over. You get a few casts as you go through a hole, and then pull over at the tail outs and walk back up that hole and get it, worked over good, and then get back in the raft and go down, further. So you get a little bit of walk wading, but it's not your only mode of mobility.
Yeah, I feel like what you're saying is a mix would be cool. I think it would be cool to get some drift boat action, but then have maybe a full day walking and checking stuff out and hiking around. And
drift boat, raft, walking, that's the perfect 3 days of fishing. And each of these streams, the Stillwater has a number of stretches, full day stretches. Most of the season we can get, we'll have probably 4. And then earlier in the spring, we'll have 5 full day stretches on the Stillwater. The Boulder really has 2 good day floats. And that's both of those are in rafts, the fly fishing frame out rafts, and then we'll do the same thing on the Shoshone down in Cody. It's a raft on that stream, but it is tailwater, and so it gets you your a little better action. It's not as deep as like the Bighorn is, the reservoir that feeds it. So it has it, like the Horn runs pretty clear. The Shoshone has kind of almost a glacial tint to it. It You just got to kind of ignore that and fish because it fishes super well.
How do those differ? You mentioned the Stillwater, the Boulder, the Shoshone, the Yellowstone. Are those all four of those quite a bit different, or are there similarities between the?
Oh, the Yellowstone or the Stillwater and the Boulder, excuse me, are sister rivers, and they're real similar. Now, the Shoshone is not so much. It's actually, the geology that that river kind of cuts through is sandstone. Think of like a micro miniature. I'm losing. I'm trying to remember a place in Arizona that's like it, but it's going through the sandstone canyons. It's cut into.
Oh yeah, like a Arches or Zion National Park or something like that, where it's cutting through all the rock.
Oh yeah, it is a really fun river to be on. And then the Yellowstone is bigger water, where within an hour or so of us, it's a big river.
Yeah, the Yellowstone's a massive river. I mean, I've been on the Yellowstone. I mean, it's gigantic, right? This is a big river. Yeah, bigger than similar to the Bighorn. I haven't fished the Bighorn. Is it?
No, the Horn is actually it feeds into Yellowstone downstream of Billings a ways. Um, but it's spouting a CFS right now isn't going to really describe it, but it where we fish it from Columbus up to Big Timber mainly, and then even closer to Livingston, it is probably 3 times as big as the Bighorn. There's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of water. So that is cool. But that again, it's a diversity. You got that, and then we'll talk about these spring creeks now. And you have these spring creeks too that are out there. What does a day like that look like on the spring creek? Is this where we're doing the walk in and wading and stuff?
Yeah, walk wade on the Spring Creek. Yeah, it's kind of an all. It's a that's what you're doing for the day. And what's nice about those Spring Creeks, contrary to or not contrary, but different than the East Rosebud, West Rosebud, and Rock Creek is the walking along the bank and in the stream is much easier. The banks are kind of limestone, sandstone, and the base of the stream is that way, and so you're not having to step on and balance across cobble rock around river. So it's walking it is much easier than some of the Freestone small streams.
If we were going to be going out with you, let's just say we're going on a walk trip, what would that day look like? What would be like dry fly fishing? And talking about time, I think we might be out there in early September. Maybe we could take it to that a little bit. Does it vary a lot depending on spring, summer, fall out there?
Um, on the Spring Creeks, you can make it vary if you want, but like I said,
They're the same.
well, much the same. It's food in the water type of deal. Like in the Yellowstone and the Stillwater, fish will get super picky, particularly when the water's covered with caddis or something. Those spring creeks, you can fish basically whatever you want within reason, and you're going to get action. I don't want to get too cavalier there. I was serious when I said you could go in there right after ice off and throw a 12 hopper pattern in there and
boom.
Yeah. Just like right now, I could go over there right now and the same thing would happen.
You could, and these are going to be brown trout, rainbows, a mix, like you said, of species.
And in there, it's the Spring Creek is probably a little higher concentration of browns. It's probably at least, 60 or 70% browns, but you'll get rainbows and Yellowstone cuts in there. I've yet to catch any whitefish going up that yet, but they have free airing access just coming up the Yellowstone. So I imagine at least in some of the lower stretches of it, there might be some whitefish hold up, but who knows?
Yeah. What does your program look like? Are people coming there for a few days, a day, a week? Do you guys do a mix of things?
So in 2024, our most popular package was 5-night, 4-day. And in 25, this past season, it was 4-night, 3-day. And largely that difference is some of our bigger corporate groups, they're almost always 4 night, 3 day. So we had several, 6 or 8 of those big groups, and I think that kind of bumped up the average, or it gave the edge on the 4 night, 3 day to the sheer number of clients, you know.
Oh, sure number. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, we've been doing a mix of things, and it feels like yeah, it feels like the 3 days just enough to give you a pretty decent, 3 days, 4 nights. You're always feeling like you want more. I mean, I feel like I go out there, I could be out there for 2 weeks, a month, and you still feel like, man, I could stay another week, right? There's never enough time.
Yeah. I mean, and where we're at there's so much variety close by that, I mean, you could fish. I mean, even the Stillwater, you could fish it in 3 different sections for a 3 day trip, and it's still pretty different in all three of them because you're going through a little canyon, and then you're kind of going through the transition area, and then you go on the lower end where you confluence with the Yellowstone, and I mean, it's can be significantly different in the 3 different areas, even on the one river, but when I'm thinking variety, I'm thinking walk wade, raft, drift boat. Like literally the physical means of getting to the creek is.
And different rivers too, potentially.
Yeah. And yeah, combining that with different rivers.
Could that be like if we're going out there, if we're talking right now, maybe talking about this late August, September trip, what would you be telling me as far as like, let's just say it's 3 days, talk about when we might arrive. You arrive the first night. When do people arrive and have dinner? Talk about like that first night when do they get there?
First night on the day of arrival, we try and do a casting clinic for everybody, even for experienced people. You never know what.
You never know. Everybody can use casting. We all need help with our casting.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to really dial your double haul in or something like that, we have people, our casting clinic guys, that are you may pick something up, even if you've been fishing a long time and a lot. But for new people or people that only get out a few times a year or something like that, I highly recommend taking or participating in the casting clinic, which happens most nights. We probably have one nearly every night, May through September.
Oh, really? And what is that clinic? What does that look like? What are you doing?
Well, we go about an hour and a half. We start out in the south lawn there at the lodge, and then we have one of our smaller trout ponds right there. And so we transition from casting out on the grass. Even if we're leaving, we have special leaders set up where you leave tag ins in several different sections, just so you get some kind of, you can get some bend out of your rod, you get and then we take them on the casting pond, and then the East Rosebud is a little walkway stream, and a little branch of it runs right up there against the lodge. And so then it's nice to be able to go over on the moving water and understand better, what mending is about. I mean, you can talk about mending, but actually practicing it and flicking the tip of your rod and trying to actually get it to work in the grass or on flat water is pretty tough. I mean, roll casting on flat water is fine. You can you can load your rod coming back. But mending it's nice to be able to practice on some moving water.
Wow. So you kind of go through the basic, or depending on what what folks need for help with, you get them ready to go. And then you kind of have dinner there. What would talk about the dinner? What's that look like? You guys, this is a all-inclusive sort of package, right?
Oh yeah. It's all food, beverage, lodging, golf carts to peruse around.
Oh, golf carts too.
Golf carts, rec barn, two trout ponds. We have several different fire pits. There's one up on top of the hill if you want to go up. Maybe take a beverage and watch.
Nice. So there's going to be some fireside chats, and this is good. And the rec building. What do you have? Some pool, ping pong.
We've got billiards and shuffleboard, foosball, table tennis. Got the old style electronic Pac-Man game.
Wow, this is awesome. Okay, all the good ones.
Got a bar lounge over there on the front deck of the rec barn. So if you want to smoke, we kind of have you go over to the rec barn in the little lounge area there for that. Yeah.
So that's it, and then so that's the first night. Get ready, and then the first day. What would that look like? Is that where the guides meet you at the lodge, or how does that work?
Yeah. I'll finish up on the meat stuff. I mean, we serve up four course chef prepared meals that are very well received by the guests. We get very high marks for the quality of the food and the level of our service in the lodge. Yeah, and to kind of finish out what the package looks like on the fly fishing program side, it's all gear and equipment, rods, reels, and tackle, and obviously the daily guide. But yeah, so the next, the first day on the water, we try to encourage our guides to come over and say hello after dinner at night, and so we have the assignments all made to the clients, to the guide, and to the stretch of water. And if they don't make it over after dinner the night before, they come over in the morning before breakfast and say hello and greet the guests. And we have a little area there. We got an old cabin, actually used to be a art studio for a friend of mine's mother. But we have that as the guide shack now, and it's a couple hundred yards from the lodge. And the guides go over there. We've got a wash rack for their truck and boat. We've got an ice machine to prep their lunch box or their coolers. And over there inside the guide shack is a TV that has a spreadsheet on it that shows, the guide and the client association and where they're going that day. And, some of the detail is, once they're ready over there, they wait. So the clients get ready on the front deck and under the portico of the main lodge. So once they're ready over there, we walkie-talkie their guide over, and they come over and loop up through the portico to pick the guest up. One of the things on that spreadsheet is their cooler number, so the guide can see on the front deck, make sure he grabs the right cooler and stuff, because it's all client guide specific. So yeah. So we have it on the front deck. Each accommodation. I don't get too carried away here. But each accommodation has a locker and a couple of boot/waiter dryers for each. And so it's kind of where you start your fly fishing day and you end it. So yeah.
Wow. And then you go on, get with your guide and go out to some different one of the streams, and you're out for the day.
Yep. It's the guide jump in the guide's vehicle and go to the water, and they have lunch riverside during the day whenever it's convenient. And then that's roughly early season. It's probably more like 9 a.m. We launch from the lodge. Middle of the summer, 7:30 probably, and then it ends the same way. So some of our groups in October this year, we launched at 9 a.m. again. But then you come back at 4 o'clock to 5:30, depending on where you went and how your day went. And so yeah.
Yeah, and get back and tell some stories. And
if we have, at least right now, over time, we've kind of fine-tuned this. If we have at least 8 guests at the lodge, we have live music. So during dinner, we'll have live music most of the nights.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And who's playing the live music?
Oh, one of our regulars, if you will, is a couple of guys. It's a bluegrass duo. There's probably about 5 different small, either single person or duos that come.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's pretty unique, having live music at the venue.
I think it's well received for sure.
And then you're gonna basically rinse and repeat and do that for depending on how many days you're there. Who are the guides you have on board? Talk about the guides. Do they have different specialties? Do they have different rivers? Are they covering everything?
Well, I try, and the goal is for everybody to be versatile. So we have some people that specialize on the Yellowstone, some people that specialize on the mid-sized rivers like the Stillwater, if you will. But I encourage them all to have a raft and a drift boat, both, and also be walkway capable. So it's, we go the extra mile to give guides the time that they need to become familiar, because our waters are so varied. It's, it takes guides a while to, a couple of years to have experienced each of the different stretches of water and where all the takeouts are and the put-ins, obviously, that type of stuff. And so, there we have several guides that are actually born and raised in the area, and so it's easy for them. They know them all. But some of the other guys, we have guides from Argentina. We've got guides from New York, North Carolina. We've had, we kind of searched far and wide the last few years to get a good set of guides that are very experienced and got a good balance of fishiness and interpersonal skills with the clients, and be able to carry a conversation with whoever they have in their boat, and make everybody comfortable because of that. And yeah,
guides over the years here, and I think one of the things with a good guide is they figure out what expectations you have for the day of fishing. Is that going to be something that we would be talking to you? Like, let's just take this trip again. If I was going out there, me in a group, would you be asking me what I'm expecting, or how would that look? Or am I talking to the guides?
100%. That starts when we send you our online questionnaire. There's just a free form control in there that lets you enter what you're expecting, what you prefer, the type of fishing you prefer. And we also ask you questions about your fitness and your mobility, that type of stuff. And then what you want to experience. And a lot of times people say variety, I want a little walk wading, a little floating, that type of stuff. But so that's where that kind of dialogue starts. That's why we try our best to get, a good conversation going with the guide or as early as possible. And it's most of the time that conversation with the guide doesn't start until after you're at the lodge. But, it's sometimes we make decisions on what guides go with which clients. We have a set of, guides that are all, signed by an outfitter and are qualified that way. But between us, the people at the lodge, and the guides, we like to make a good kind of personality match, and your desires and stuff are a huge piece of that. And your experience is a huge piece of that, on what we feel is going to be the best fit for you. And we change that up. We have some people, they want to have a different guide each day just to have that another level of variety. So our end is to try and have a guide stay with the clients, their whole time there. But
yeah, I think it depends a little bit on, what everybody wants to do. We found that we've been doing these trips, and we'll have, listeners that come from, sometimes they don't know each other at all, and we come there as a group. And then we'll find that it might be a guy and his friend or something. But by the end of the trip, everybody wants to fish with everybody else and mix up the guides. And you know what I mean? It's this kind of it becomes this family kind of trip. It's kind of cool. You guys probably see some of that too.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds like what we're all about, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What if I came to you, you're asking me, and I was like, I would really love to dig into streamers. I'd really love to learn about streamers more. Is there a guide or a river you would have in mind for that?
I would definitely, if you're unfamiliar with streamer fishing, I would have a guide or take you out on the East Rosebud there and just try some streamer fishing. Be a little smaller stuff, maybe some 12s or something like that, and just see what it's all about. See how comfortable you are, and varying your.
See how bad I am. See how much I struggle.
Well, streamer fishing, it can change things up. You get in the Yellowstone, you're going to want sinking tip line and bigger streamers and down to stuff. So, it's, yeah.
Is that the river? Is the Yellowstone the one where you'd say, well, where would you have your best chance at getting the biggest fish, say, out in that area?
Biggest? Ooh.
Or maybe not even the biggest, but the most maybe actually. I mean, I figure Yellowstone's big. It must have some big fish out there, right?
Well, yeah, yes, but all the streams that I spoke of other than that are spawning streams for the fish in the.
Oh, right.
So they're moving in and out of those streams all the time.
Oh, they are. So the browns and rainbows are coming in and out?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest fish on the Stillwater this year was a 28-inch rainbow.
Really?
In the Stillwater, 2 feet of water.
No kidding.
No kidding.
What did you catch that fish on?
I would believe he was using a streamer.
Streamer, there you go.
It may have been a nymph too, but it wasn't dry.
Wow. So 28. So you have fish up to rainbows up 28. So the browns must get in that size range too.
Well, the biggest brown I think we caught this past year that I can remember was about a 24-inch. But they're nice fish. I mean, I think the biggest one we've caught.
Anything over 20, I feel like anything over 20 is a giant fish.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, these are all Freestone streams too. Besides the Shown, you catch that 28-inch rainbow. That's a huge fish for a Freestone stream.
And is the Yellowstone a freestone too?
Oh yeah, 100%. The whole stretch, all the way from the park all the way to North Dakota, where it runs into Missouri.
Amazing. Oh, it goes to Missouri, right? It goes all the way across into Missouri, into the Dakotas.
Yep, it's the longest Freestone stream in the nation.
Is it really? Yeah, and that's the unique thing because yeah, most of these big rivers have dams on them, right? Almost all of them.
Big or not, I mean, Madison it's got two dams on it.
Why do you think is that just because you guys are in this remote area where I mean, I wonder why it's a good thing, right? Lack of dams, that's a healthier system.
Well, I guess, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I look on the map. When I look at the map, I'm like, you got Billings, to the east of you. You got Livingston to the west. And I'm not sure what's up north. And then you guys are kind of right in the middle. It feels like, yeah, when you look at the map, you're like, yeah, you guys are definitely off the map. I mean, there's not a lot of big towns or kind of Bozeman's out there a little further, right? Somewhere out there too, isn't it?
yeah, it's over the pass and stuff. Yeah, uh-huh.
But you're kind of tucked in right out, like we said, at the base of the mountains. You're, just the national park isn't too far away either. You're kind of right there. And
Yeah, it's about 20 miles as the crow flies, but you go over that area I spoke of, the Beartooth Pass, which ends up stretching her out about a mile or an hour and a half or 2 hours, actually. Because it's really the Beartooth Pass, if you look at it, it's just hairpin switchbacks for a bunch of it. So most people drive super, super slow, 20 miles an hour or less.
I feel like that would be the cool thing to do is, like you said, kind of get a little Yellowstone experience, maybe drive to the national park, do the scenic thing, see some buffalo. Do you guys have, are there wildlife? You must get some, maybe not buffalo out in your neck of the woods, but are you getting?
We don't really, not, we don't have any real, I mean, the park animals don't come out. Really. There's the grizzlies go back and forth. Yeah, the grizzlies will go back and forth in the mountains, but they don't generally come down into the river valleys. We get moose come out of the mountains in our river bottom. That's by far the most dangerous thing is stumbling in a moose.
Yeah, the moose, they can be dangerous.
Oh, yeah. So, but, we have some black bears and stuff you'll see on occasion. I consider myself super lucky if I see one because they are much more wary than like all the whitetails and muleys and all the kinds of deer all over. I mean, the yard at the lodge right now probably has 20 whitetail in it feeding. So,
well, I'm excited about this. I think we're, it's a part of I've driven by that, quite a few times, but I've never really spent any time fishing. So this is going to be, I think, exciting. And what you guys have there is pretty unique too with the spring creeks. And talk about the Orvis and Dorse, because I think you guys were close to like a finalist for the Orvis and Dorse Lodge of the Year, something like that. Describe that a little bit. How?
Orvis and Dorse finalist there's 3 of them. And so that's all for the non-international lodges. So I'd be guessing a wild guess is like there's 120 or so.
They're in the Orvis network.
Yeah, non-international lodges. And we were the top 3 in the nation for 2024. We didn't win it. I believe it was actually in Arkansas, White River Inn. Or
nice. We're heading there this year too. That's awesome.
Are you? Yeah, they won it in 24. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Nice. So basically, they choose a lodge that, I mean, it's probably a mix of things, right? Like you said, the great food, a great kind of like describe that. What do you think got you up into the finalists for that?
I think it was our service level. Yeah, the service level for both the lodge and in that carrying the service level at the lodge all the way out onto the water. Just a lot of happy clients.
Yeah, exactly. And I think part of that is good reviews. Lots of positive reviews. I think that's a big part of it too.
I mean, getting that endorsement was quite a deal. It took us a couple of years. I mean, it was back in 21 we started in the process. And, Orvis went through a process in 2018 when Simon Perkins, the grandson of the founder of it, took the helm. And they kind of went through a process of revamping the endorsement program, making the rigor for being in it a lot more scrutiny and evaluation on sites, Orbis staff experiencing, your employees, your guides, your offering in total top to bottom. And it's been great. It definitely provides a level of, it's like when you see reviews out on the internet. You go to Google and Google reviews are out there or whatever for different places, but it's a Google review is not third party reviewed by an organization that kind of validates all the data and stuff in it and the person making the review and all that. Whereas like the Orbis reviews are reviewed by, or that process is managed by a company called Bizarre Voice. And so the reviews you see on Orbis are third party evaluated and kind of
they're legit,
approved. Yeah. And that's you tapped on a key word there. That's what the Orbis endorsement provides, is it's a legitimacy that says that your lodge has been reviewed by the Orbis organization, both in person and they're talking with our clients, on their own.
Yeah. It's been essentially, you've been vetted. People can actually, when they see this, they know, you've got a certain standard that's going to be met, and that's going to include the fishing and the whole experience, right? That's what, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Orbis's focus on getting that to the quality, the perceived quality of that endorsement has been revamped in 2018.
I'll have to talk. We've had a number of Orvis episodes. I can't remember how many, but we've probably done 5 or 6 with, we've had Perk on, we've had multiple generations in the family, and it's been great because my story, I have an Orvis connection since I was a kid, and all that stuff. So I feel like it's just they're great for conservation. They're a great company. And I feel like anything they can support, I think probably anybody should be, you know what I mean? Be able to back that up. But so I'm glad we touched on that. That's part of, a big part of what you do. Obviously, we talked about this today. Before we get out of here, we're going to get out of here a little bit. I want to get a couple of tips from you on this. But I did want to ask you one thing. We have John McClain was just on the podcast. He's the son of Norman McClain. The River Runs Through It, right? The famous book. And do you remember that was in 1993 when that movie came out? I've been chatting with him, and so 93, it kind of blew the roof off of fly fishing, right? Everybody had all these people coming in, Brad Pitt. Do you remember that period? Were you out there in Montana when that hit?
I actually, at 93, I was at my I was in 6 years at Microsoft. And so my goal then, because I lived north of there in a town called Mount Vernon, Washington, and I would go to the Skagit River and go all the way upstream to a little area called Cascade. And then up there, the Skagit River is about the size of the Stillwater. And so that was where I went to be in my zone as a fisherman. Fishing for salmon in the huge water as it gets out to the coast was definitely not something.
Different world.
Yeah. But that's where I was at the time. But the fish in those little streams like that, the Blackfoot that's in that movie, couldn't tell the difference between the Boulder and the Stillwater and the Blackfoot.
Oh, really? So that's you're in a big canyon.
The Blackfoot runs through kind of the Black Forest, so to speak. So it's wooded, it's conifer forests on both sides. Whereas the Stillwater and the Boulder, there'll be breaks in that. There'll be, hills that don't have much, many trees on it. And it's a little bit, higher elevation, that type of stuff,
But, in the movie, I think what it did was, and we just watched it recently because my kids hadn't seen it before. And so we watched it, and, it's a great movie. It's a great movie because it's a story. And Norman says this, he said this, we've had a few episodes, but, it's not about fly fishing, right? The movie's about his brother and the fact that he, it's a sad ending because his brother got murdered, and it was a really sad ending. But really the Montana thing is what blew people away, right? Because you're in this place, which very well, Montana. When I first went to Montana, I was 13 years old. We drove out across from Oregon. My brothers were older than me, and I was able to tag along on this trip. It was me and my brothers and a couple of friends. We went to Montana, to Rock Creek, out of Missoula. And I never forgot that trip. It was like the greatest thing ever. I hooked myself almost in the eye 3 times. But it's just Montana. How do you explain that to people? Because it's this special place. How do you describe that?
Well, what I like to fishing in the streams around us is not unlike that movie because if you're walk wading on any of those streams I spoke of, and I said Rock Creek, but it's the Rock Creek on our side of the state there. It runs out of Red Lodge.
Oh, there's another Rock Creek, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rock Creek, East and West Rosebud, you won't see another fisherman. You won't see another because there likely hasn't been another fisherman's unless they were with a group of ours, probably been at least a couple of weeks. You'll go on these rivers and they're just not pressured. You don't see people often. So, I mean, you can go all day, you can go your whole stay and only see a handful of other people fishing.
That's crazy. It's kind of like that experience that we're talking about. This is like Montana back in the day of Norman McLean.
Go out on the water and you're there fishing and it's just you and the river.
That's cool. And you get that experience, which is just big sky country and, trout and mountains and all that stuff. This is good. Well, I've got a couple of random ones for you, and then we'll let you get out of here today. So I do want to, I want to hear, we're probably getting into more on your guides because I think that sitting and talking to them more and all that. But, one thing we really love to talk about is, conservation. That's a big part. You've mentioned, you hear about these hoot owl things that are going on. Is that, do you have any issues out? Are there any groups in your area? Do you have any problems with it? Sounds like the water quality, stuff like that's pretty good. Are things looking pretty good in your area, or are there groups out there doing any work in nearby?
Well, Trout Unlimited is always doing stuff, to try and revitalize streams. They do, I think, quite a bit of work in western Montana, northwest Montana, mine old leakage and some of the overt kind of tailings in the national or in the tailwaters and that type of stuff. But there's a few organizations around that Greater Yellowstone Coalition is one. I'm struggling to come up with another.
Yeah, but the coalition is there are groups. Yeah, and there's probably some watershed councils groups that are connecting the community and basically doing whatever that is, river cleanups and getting the word out, education.
Sure, yeah, you bet.
So that's good. So, well, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. I want to, we're fishing with you. Let's just imagine this. We're on one of these spring creeks. We're out with you for the day. You're fishing. I haven't been out there. They're new to the water. What do you tell them? What's a tip or two you're going to give somebody to have more success on your river for that day? It sounds like it's pretty easy, but what would be your tip?
My tip for them would be to just relax and if you got to spend a few minutes feeling like you can get your roll cast dialed, stand right in the middle of the stream and just go right parallel with the water. It's I don't know that there's I just part of me, or not part of me, the biggest part of me wants people to have an overall good experience. The fishing might wax and wane during a day or during a trip, but it's got to be more than that. It's got
more than the fishing.
Yeah, it's got to be more than the fishing. The lodge experience, just the relaxation, the camaraderie, that type of.
That's right. No, I think the relax is a good tip because it makes you realize. I think a lot of us get out there and you're sometimes fired up. You're like, man, I want to get out there and fish, but taking a break and stepping back and actually checking out the stream, seeing what's going on is a good reminder because you can learn a lot from just watching the stream, right? Seeing what's going on.
Well, and you'll see like in our casting clinics, a lot of our guys are really into entomology and stuff. And so.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Really? So you have guides that are into entomology?
Oh, 100% stuff, Yeah, no, they'll be all about, sifting, turning over showing you exactly how to determine what is in the water, going into East Rosebud and turning a rock over and bringing it up and saying, this is
stonefly.
Yes, stonefly or a caddis, or, whatever, dragonfly larva or whatever,
No, that's cool. I think it is pretty exciting, to think about this. So I think for today, we can leave it here. We'll send everybody out to MontanaFlyFishingLodge.com if they have questions for you or want to get some more information on trips and everything you have going. But yeah, Lincoln, this has been definitely a lot of fun. We're going to be following up with you again and following up with some of your guys and talking more. But thanks for all the time today, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. I know we got a couple of them teed up to talk to you, so that's good.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll see you on that next one, and have a good rest of the week.
Sounds good. Thanks very much.
If that conversation opened your eyes to a quieter side of Montana, the cold Freestones and everything we talked about today, 28-inch rainbows, check in with them, check in with me. If you're interested, you can just send an email, dave@wetflyswing.com. If you want to get access to this trip, which we have going right now, you can go to wetflyswing.com/pro, get access there, and you will get first access to this trip when we put it together. And we're going to be heading out there this year. So if you're interested, check in with me, and I'll let you know what we have going on availability. I want to give a big shout out again before we get out of here. We got a big week coming next week. We got Josiah is here to talk Hawaii, and we're going to a place that I'm sure many people have not thought about on Hawaii. This is not Maui. This is not the Big Island. This is a unique little cast and blast opportunity in Hawaii. I'm excited for this one, so subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're loving this one, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're doing a few select episodes throughout the year that are going live on YouTube, and if you go over to wetflyswing.com/YouTube, you'll get access to that, and you can see us, me and Lincoln, see what we look like chatting away, our talking heads. Hope you enjoyed this one. Really appreciate you for sticking in to the end here, and I hope you have a great afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful evening. If it's morning and you're just getting going, maybe you're on the road cruising across the state of Wyoming, heading out to, maybe you're heading over to Miami, to Montana right now, heading to this neck of the woods. Maybe you're going down the highway. I think, what is that highway? Highway 90? Across Montana. Maybe you're in the area, Livingston. If you are, I hope you are enjoying this podcast episode, and I look forward to talking to you soon. If that's you, definitely send me an email anytime, dave@wetflyswing.com. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.